we don't need the $7,500 tax credit.
What about the support though for the charging network?
There's no need for this for support for a charging network. I would delete it. Delete.
Well, it appears Elon Musk got his wish and the EV tax credit is going to die. So that is good news or bad news, depending on who you're talking to. But it leads to this question of, all right, does that mean it's time to buy a Tesla? Should I pick it up now? Should I wait? Because this is a question I get all the time. So in this video, unfortunately, I can't tell you exactly how to spend your money, but I can give you all of the information you need to make this decision so you are as informed as possible as to what is coming up in the next few months and whether it's time to buy your Tesla right now or wait and see what's coming up. So the $7,500 federal EV tax credit is going away. It will be done at the end of September. So if you buy a new electric vehicle, whether that's a Tesla or another one, as long as it qualifies for that tax credit, you will get $7,500 off the vehicle if you qualify, of course. And the good thing about this tax credit versus the one we had a few years ago is this one is point of sale. So you walk into a dealer, the EV, let's say, is $40,000. You immediately, when you go to purchase it or make your loan or do whatever you're going to do, subtract $7,500 from the cost of that vehicle. Again, you have to qualify. Most people will qualify, but double check for yourself. So you're immediately financing less money. You're going to pay less on interest. You're going to have to put less money down up front, all of those things. So it's a really nice way that they implemented this tax credit. But if you want it, you have to buy your electric vehicle before October. Now, do you want a brand new Tesla, Rivian, or Lucid, but don't want to pay for it? How about winning it for free or winning $50,000 cash while also doing something good? It's the 11th annual Tesla raffle from Hesed, Chicago, and the prize pool this year is insane. Buy 2 or more tickets before July 10th, and you're also entered to win a bottle of Tesla tequila, but you only have a couple days left, so you gotta do it now. Only 9,999 tickets will be sold, and every ticket supports families in crisis, so it's a win-win. Just go to ccraffle.com, that's ccraffle.com, and use code DIRTY for $25 off 2 tickets or $500 off 15. Do it now before somebody else drives off in your dream EV. Thank you to Hesed Chicago for sponsoring this portion of the video. Now, there are some other reasons you would want to pick up your Tesla or electric vehicle before October if you want to do it in the near term, other than the tax credit. So let's go over some of those other reasons. So the used EV tax credit is another good deal going on right now. If a used EV is at least 2 model years older than current and costs $25,000 or less, you can get up to $4,000 off of that used EV with the used EV tax credit. This means you're looking at like 2022 or 2023 model year Teslas. And if they have a lot of miles or the price is low enough, you can get an additional $4,000 off. So you're talking around $20,000 for a used Tesla that's only a few years old. Because electric vehicles have so few moving parts compared to gas cars, mileage isn't as big of a concern. Of course, you do worry about the battery, so double check your battery warranties on any used EVs that you're buying. But other than that, the rest of the car just doesn't have nearly as many moving parts as a gas car. So mileage matters in a sense, but it doesn't matter in the same way that it does for a gas car. On top of that, Tesla prices as of right now are historically pretty low, at least compared to what we've seen in the past. Of course, all vehicles went up in price a lot during all the crazy COVID stuff, and a lot of that has come down. I know Tesla gets a lot of flack for this, but really all vehicles, if you look at their prices in 2021 compared to today, most of them are down across the board. The percentage that all of these different vehicles has dropped is, of course, varied throughout the different vehicles. But on the extreme end, you have something like the Tesla Model S Plaid, where it was, $150,000 or something like that. And today you can find a used one from 2022 that's like in the $40,000 to $50,000 range. That is a pretty extreme example, but in electric vehicles in general, Teslas and other brands, you can find some really good deals when you look at these used electric vehicles. The depreciation on them just seems to tank, but at the same time, keep in mind that a lot of these electric vehicles were really coming up in the 2021 timeframe when prices were inflated already. So the prices of these EVs were inflated at that time, and now the prices have come down because they're used, and all vehicles in general, the prices have come down. So it looks pretty extreme. With that said, again, the deals on the used electric vehicles can be really good. And if you can find one for less than $25,000, then you're going to get an even better deal when you include that used EV tax credit. Now, this next point is very unlikely, but I got to throw it in there because it does happen. So Tesla has airline-like pricing where they will change the price of their vehicles based on demand. Now, when you walk into a dealer and you got the sticker on the windshield that says something is $50,000, you can negotiate with them. You can say, okay, I'll trade in my vehicle and you give me this deal. And you can spend hours or even days working on this to change the price of the vehicle. And the vehicle prices change, but it's not the same as Tesla. When you go to Tesla's website, they say, here's the vehicle, it costs this much money, and that's it. There's no negotiating, there's no haggling. That's what you're going to pay for a new Tesla, and there's really nothing that's going to change that, except the fact that Tesla does change their prices pretty often. If Tesla is having lower demand, as we've seen in the last few months, then Tesla will lower the prices, and they'll spur some more demand, they'll get some more sales. If Tesla is having really high demand, or they don't have enough vehicles, they will raise the prices. They will make the prices higher. And this can change day to day or week to week. So it's really unpredictable. Now, with the tax credit ending and a lot of people knowing that, I think we will see a small rush of people ordering Teslas to take advantage of the tax credit before it disappears. Now, is this going to be a billion orders and Tesla can't keep up with demand? No, I don't think so. But I do want to throw it out there that if Tesla does see extreme demand, they could temporarily raise prices. Now, we've even seen them do this in the past where they raise prices just like $1,000 to kind of show everybody, hey, we know that the prices have been lower, but look, prices just went up. And this kind of creates this FOMO in people where they go, whoa, the price just went up. I don't want to miss out. I don't want the price to raise more. I really want this car. I'm going to jump in and get it. So I'm definitely not saying to rush. This is definitely a decision. You do not want to rush. You want to take your time, really make sure you want the vehicle and it's the right time to buy it and everything. But I did want to throw it out there because it is a possibility that as time goes on, if Tesla sees really high demand, because the tax credit is going away, they may slightly raise prices. Now, lately, inflation has been a lot better than it was a couple of years ago. And because of that, we should be seeing rate cuts. Now, I don't want to get too much into that, but we haven't seen them yet, which is really weird because inflation is looking pretty good. Now, if these rate cuts do happen, you could see prices rise because as the rate cuts happen, it means your loan payment will go down. And it means Tesla could raise the price a little bit because then your loan payment is going to be similar or even still be lower, even though the overall vehicle price is higher. So this is another thing to think about. On top of that, something else that passed with these tax credits going away is now your interest on the loans is actually tax deductible. And so this is another kind of demand lever from the federal government that's going to show people, hey, buy cars, buy things. We want you to spend money. And it can create more demand because people now have another avenue to avoid paying taxes, and they can buy a nice shiny new car and say, wait, I can buy a new car and pay less taxes because of it. Hey, I'm going to do that, even if overall the math means they're going to have less money. It's something that could spur people, push them to buy this new vehicle that they were kind of on the fence about. Now, these next couple are kind of but I want to throw them out there. There is opportunity cost. If you really want this vehicle, you've been waiting a long time. The longer you wait, the less time you have to enjoy the thing. And this is not the best thing to always factor in, but I do want to throw it out there because I've thought a lot of times about, man, if I would have waited a year to buy this vehicle or 2 years, it would have been a better vehicle or a different price or whatever. But looking back, I'm happy I did what I did. And when I did it, it led to a lot of other things happening that I'm very happy I was able to experience or enjoy or try out because I didn't wait to buy the vehicle. So having that immediate ownership benefit by picking up the vehicle now is something to think about. And on top of that, you will immediately, if you're coming from a gas vehicle, start saving on gas and maintenance and things like that. A few years ago, I know it was this thing where it's like, wait, you want me to buy a $60,000 EV versus my $15,000 car so I can save a few bucks a month on gas? And it didn't make sense, but that's not the case today. Electric vehicles, especially Teslas, but other brands as well, the prices have come to a point where it's comparable to gas cars in the same category. And sometimes the prices are even better, especially if you look at leases or stuff like that. And when you compare it to paying for gas along with paying for a gas car that's a similar price, I mean, the math just makes total sense. And it's a no-brainer to switch to electric so you can start saving money and not pay for gasoline immediately and have less to do in terms of oil changes and other maintenance. Now, this is something I thought about. I don't think it's really going to happen, but I did want to bring it up just in case. Used Tesla or EV prices might show a tiny bit of a bounce and remain a little stronger than they have the past couple of years because of what's happening here. You're essentially getting a $7,500 price increase to all electric vehicles across the board. And this means that new electric vehicles will be harder to obtain. At the same time, that is going to affect the used market because they are going to be eaten up really quickly if those prices don't change, or the prices will slowly start to creep up as that demand comes in. But at the same time, the exact opposite of this might happen, which we're going to touch on in just a minute. So the last reason that you may want to pick up, this is pretty much for a Tesla today, is full self-driving. Now, I don't want to harp on this too much because I've always had this kind of like difficult time of recommending to purchase full self-driving or not. Over the years, I've almost never recommended purchasing it because it's been so expensive. But at this point, with the price and the capabilities and the safety, it is something that a lot of people want to purchase and own. Of course, you can pay the $99 a month to basically rent it, and then you don't have to pay the $8,000 up front or put it into your loan. And that way you can use FSD and pay a little less. And if you don't like it, or you want to save $100 that month, or you're not going to use your car that much, you can turn it off. You can turn off the subscription, not pay that $99 a month, save a little bit of money there. Well, with Robotaxi coming out, the capabilities of FSD are finally at a point where most people enjoy it, and it does almost all driving for most people, even the pickiest of drivers. The price may change. Tesla may change the way they price it. They may up the subscription fee. They may up the FSD price. Now, I don't see that happening because it seems like the take rate is still moderately low, but I'm throwing it out there because as Robotaxi becomes more ubiquitous and more normal people who are just seeing like driverless Teslas all over kind of go, wait a second, that thing's driving by itself. Wait, I can go buy that? I could just go buy that car right now, the one that's driving with nobody in it. If once people start waking up to that, well, they might want to hop on, grab their Tesla. Now, again, this and most of these other points on their own are kind of like, I don't know. But when you factor everything together, these are just points for you to consider. Again, I'm not saying, hey, think of all this stuff. You have to go buy your Tesla right now. But these are things you want to take into consideration when you're trying to decide if it's time to make this purchase. Now, on the other end, why would you want to wait? There's a few reasons you would still want to wait even though the tax credit is going away. And number one is related to the tax credit itself. So we went through this before. A few years ago, there was another tax credit for electric vehicles. And the way that one worked is once a manufacturer sold a certain amount of electric vehicles, the tax credit for them got cut in half. And then after that got cut in half again. And after that was gone. Now, Tesla was the first manufacturer to actually reach this milestone. They sold so many electric vehicles that their tax credit was taken away. And it was kind of this weird thing where you basically punished the successor by taking away their benefit, even though they're obviously showing that they're the most popular option. And I get it from one point, but overall, it was hurting American manufacturers and helping foreign manufacturers more than anything, because the next company that reached this limit was GM. And so then GM had their tax credit taken away. And it was rewritten, and we have what we have today. But the reason I bring this up, not just because it's interesting, is because last time when Tesla's tax credit got taken away, they lowered prices by the amount of the tax credit almost immediately. So you had a car that was, for easy math, $57,500. The tax credit went away. They lowered the car to $50,000. I'm simplifying that greatly, but that's basically what they did. And so I want to bring that up because we could see it here again. Now, Tesla has already lowered prices several times in the past few years. So I don't think we're going to see huge price decreases, and I don't think they'll be immediate. I think Tesla's going to test the waters here and see what's going on. And as time goes on, they'll adjust the prices. As we talked about earlier, they adjust them all the time anyway. But I would hate to not bring this point up and you're like, oh, I got to get this tax credit. And then come October or November, Tesla just lowers the price by the amount of the tax credit anyway. It's definitely a possibility. And taking that into consideration, then maybe you'll just wait. Now, this is not something we can know until it's done. And once the tax credit's gone, at least for now, it's gone. It's not coming back. So if you wait and then they don't drop prices, well, you did miss out on the tax credit, but I had to bring that up. Now, another reason in general to wait for Tesla vehicle purchase is the vehicles are always getting better. So I've talked to a lot of people. I get DMs pretty much weekly, sometimes daily, where people are like, hey, should I buy this now? I've been looking at this Tesla for this amount of time. Is it time? Should I buy it? And it's difficult. You know, if you have money burning a hole in your pocket and you can just buy a new car every year, then I'm like, yeah, heck yeah, just go enjoy your car. If you have unlimited money, then don't worry about it. But if you're really on a budget or you want this car to last you 10 years or whatever, sometimes waiting a little bit is really good because Tesla is always improving their vehicles. Now, of course, all manufacturers make improvements to vehicles over time, but in general, Tesla just figures out a way to do something better or make road noise better or get rid of a part or add a part or whatever. And they just do it. They don't wait for a new model year. They don't do all this stuff where it's like the same car for 3 years and then they do a bunch of upgrades. They're always making the vehicles better. They don't always even announce it. You'll just see, like, one of the latest examples is I picked up my 2026 Model Y and it didn't have a CCS adapter in it. Now, personally, I don't want that, but the fact is it wasn't in there. A couple of weeks later, everyone's reporting, oh, the new Model Y now comes with CCS adapter. There was no announcement. There was nothing on the website. Tesla just includes that now. That's just part of the 2026 Model Y that makes it better than it was a couple of months ago if you were to pick it up then. Another example of this is when I picked up my 2021 Model Y. The day after I picked it up, people started announcing, hey, my Tesla Model Y is coming with the HEPA filter. So it was if I would have waited one day or got like some other VIN that was delivered 2 days later, I would have had a HEPA filter in my 2021 Model Y, but I didn't have that feature. And so people who bought after me got that feature all the way up till today. That's still included. So in general, the longer you wait to buy a Tesla, if you're like saving your money and you're like, oh, I really want it, but I'm not quite there, you're probably going to get a better car if you buy it in 6 months than if you buy it today. With that said, if you do buy the car today, just be happy with what you're purchasing for the price. Realize things are going to change quickly over time, and it is what it is. But it's always good to keep that in mind. Now, with the improvements over time, there's a big one coming up, and nobody knows the exact timing, but I got to talk about it. AI 5. So Tesla has self-driving hardware and software in the vehicles. Of course, the software always gets updated, and your car will be better a year from now than it is today. But something that Tesla cannot upgrade easily or over the air is the hardware. So a few years ago, we got the AI 4 upgrade. It was called the Hardware 4. Now it's called AI 4, and next is AI 5, but that's interchangeable, Hardware 4, Hardware 5, whatever. And there is a lot of evidence that we're on the cusp of AI 5 coming to Tesla vehicles really soon. And this is something personally I don't think you would want to miss out on. So if you really care about full self-driving, if you're on the fence, you don't need a vehicle today, you can wait. My advice for now, despite the tax credit, despite everything, I would try to wait for the AI 5 hardware. Expectations for me are end of the year or early 2026 is when we're going to start seeing this included in customer vehicles. It probably will come to S and X first. It may come to Model Y first. It's kind of hard to know for sure, but it's coming. Either way, it's going to be sometime within the next year. And when you're talking a vehicle purchase, say you're going to spend $40,000 or $50,000, yes, $7,500 is a big chunk of that. But if you're someone that's going to keep the car, say you're not leasing it, you're going to buy it, and you're going to keep it at least 10 years, you just like to keep your cars a long time, this is one of those things that's worth waiting for, even if you're going to miss out on the $7,500. I don't think it's worth getting this $7,500 if you're going to keep the car for 10 years and missing out on AI 5. That's my personal opinion. You have to make that decision for yourself. But I do think this type of upgrade from Tesla is very important, and it's very rare. We only see this every 2, 3, 4, 5 years, an upgrade like this to the self-driving hardware. And it's something you want included in your vehicle, especially because we're right on the cusp of the driverless stuff. Hopefully a personal driverless vehicle, although I think that's a little farther off. But there are AI 4 vehicles in Texas right now driving around with no one in the driver's seat. Personally, I would not want to miss out on AI 5 whenever it comes out. Now, another reason to wait is also something I talked about in the time when I said that maybe it's time to buy, and that's interest rates. They should probably start coming down soon. I don't want to get too much into it, but inflation's been looking pretty good. Interest rates are probably not going to go any higher, but they should probably start coming down. And that is going to make a big difference in your monthly payment and things like that. So even if you miss out on that $7,500, if interest rates get cut in half, which probably would be a little bit farther away, but if that happens, your payment, your monthly payment on your vehicle, if you're doing financing, is going to be far lower. And this can affect everything. It can affect price. Price could actually go up on the vehicles. It can affect the leasing. It can affect a lot of stuff. So this is a reason to maybe wait. Just watch Jerome Powell talk to people and see what he says, see what the sentiment is. And if interest rates are going to drop, that would be a great thing to have in the future. Competition. Yes, the competition is coming to kill Tesla. Just kidding. We've been hearing that for years. It hasn't happened, but there are way more decent electric vehicles out there than there were a few years ago. And yes, if you're a Tesla diehard, you would never buy anything else. Okay, this part's not for you. But a lot of people just look at vehicles and they see the price and then they pick based on that. And so if you get a good deal on something else, then that's definitely worth considering. My mother-in-law just bought a GM electric vehicle. She bought the Blazer and she put, I think, $750 down and she's paying $280 a month. What an insane deal. Why would she not get that? The thing's really nice. Is it a Tesla? No. Would I want it? No, not exactly. But for that price, I mean, that's pretty compelling. Now, me, I'm addicted to the full self-driving software. I wouldn't want to live without it, so that's a big part of my decision. But not everybody cares about that or uses it. So you got to think for you. If you don't want some of the things that are specific to Tesla, you have to shop around and see what deals are out there. I know before I bought my first Tesla, I was shopping around. I looked at every vehicle I could that was the same price as that first Model 3 that I bought. And there was nothing even close to, I was looking at gas cars and everything. There was nothing I even thought about considering other than the Model 3 because they just didn't have the features I want. But now you have what's coming from Rivian, the R3. Now, it is probably still a couple of years away, but it's worth thinking about. Vehicles are huge purchases. Some people do it every 5 or 10 years. So you might want to wait a couple more years and just see what happens. And along with that is just future technology improvements in general. We're always looking for more range, more efficiency, faster charging times. And that should be coming to Tesla, but other vehicles as well. So there may be other manufacturers out there that are making an EV that has those features that you want that are more impressive that you would choose over a Tesla. Now, with all that said, I got to say in general, I think almost everyone would be more happy with a Tesla that was designed from the ground up to be an electric vehicle versus some of these OEM electric vehicles that are mostly gas cars that they took the guts out and put electric guts in and made things fit and you still got to press a button to start it and all this weird stuff. That's me. I do think when you've never owned a Tesla, You'll be more happy once you get one and experience it for a little bit of time, but everyone, can purchase whatever vehicle they actually want.